DCKO is the new event going on in DC Comics that's blowing minds with everything that's happening. The tournament among the characters has already started, and several heroes have lost their battles. But while the fights are going on, what's happening with Earth? Who's protecting the planet and humanity from the impending arrival of Darkseid? And there's more. Hold up, don't leave the video. DC just did a retcon on Doomsday's origin, and I'm telling you, it's different from anything you've ever seen. Forget everything you know about Doomsday because we have a new explanation for his origin. Curious, right? So stick around in this video and let's check out everything that's going down in this Saga while Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and the rest of the Justice League are fighting in the tournament to find out who will be the new King Omega. Titans Evacuation Earth. The Titans comic starts with Cyborg hacking all planetary communications to say that the world is about to end. There's nothing anyone can do about it. Victor adds that a great evil is coming and that this would change all of Earth, so they will have to perform a complete evacuation of the planet. But everyone needs to stay calm because the Justice League has a plan. The transmission is happening in multiple languages all around the globe, and he needs everyone's cooperation. After all, that's the only way they will make it together. The comic then jumps forward a week later. The Titans are at Titan's Tower, which is in Bloodhaven. Beast Boy is happy to have recovered the tower after the last incident. And in this case, he refers to something that happened in Nightwing's comic when Nightmite, who's basically Nightwing's version of Batmite, showed up and caused a bunch of trouble. Now everything is back to normal, but not really. That's because Titan's Tower has had some upgrades, and now we see thrusters on the tower. It's turned into a spaceship and takes off into space. And this was all possible thanks to the upgrades made by Cyborg and Mr. Terrific. Roy Harper admits it's a nice goodbye, but Nightwing comments that this isn't goodbye. They will always be Titans no matter what happens. Beast Boy isn't too keen on this idea of the team splitting up, but Donna Troy reminds them that the planetary evacuation is only possible if the team separates. At that moment, Starfire interrupts their conversation and says she needs to head out for her mission, which is to escort Titan's Tower into space. And the team shares one last hug to say goodbye. Beast Boy laments that first it was Cyborg leaving the team, now it's Starfire's turn. And remember that Cyborg went with the Justice League to participate in the tournament. Noticing that he's being pretty negative, Beast Boy comforts Raven, who's been crying. He says she's preparing for the worst, but she'll follow Beast Boy wherever he goes. And with that, the story moves on to the old lunar base of the Justice League. Yeah folks, the iconic Justice League base that's on the moon. It's being used as a base of operations for the planetary evacuation. Arsenal and Donna Troy are right there to lead the evacuation and meet Superman John Kent, who's there to help them. John reveals that the first evacuations are going as planned, and we see Titan's Tower in space. Or better yet, the 3 Titans Towers from Bloodhaven, San Francisco, and New York are being used to evacuate people into space. Donna is relieved, but there are still billions of people left. She's feeling a bit shaken by the whole situation and remembers the message Cyborg sent D-Team last week. With that, we get a flashback explaining what happened with Cyborg. He left the video saying he'll have to participate in the tournament to have a chance to defeat Darkseid, but he's heartbroken that didn't get to say goodbye to his friends. He doesn't even know if he'll survive. In the video, he says he loves everyone on the team and hopes everything works out for them. Since he sent that message, no one on the team has heard from Cyborg or the others. Arsenal hopes he's okay and tries to calm Donna, telling her she's doing an amazing job with the evacuation. They end up kissing, and seeing this makes John smile. Next up at Mercy Hall in New York, which was also one of the bases of the Teen Titans when Damian Wayne led the team, Raven is there to collect technology from Star Labs with Karen, who is Bumblebee. They're using Brainiac's tech to shrink entire cities. Bumblebee says she really wants to help, but right now her priority is her baby. Raven totally gets that, and what she's already done is plenty. However, Karen has one question. What are the Titans gonna do with her? At this moment, we see Terra and Stasis in the lab, and for those who aren't up to speed on what's happening in the Titans comics, Terra was hurt by Deathstroke, and the Titans put her in this chamber to recover. Raven says the Titans will take care of Terra. As for the other villains in Narcam and Blackade, Raven also comments that that's all sorted out. Karen wants to know what Raven's mission is going to be, but her witch is in another place mentally. She hears Terran's thoughts and enters its mind. That Terra was conscious and listening to the entire conversation Rachel was having. Now Terra wants to talk to Raven. While Beast Boy has always firmly believed Terra could have redemption, Raven has never liked her. And this is an opinion that Raven doesn't share with her boyfriend. In fact, they've never gotten along even before the events of the Judas contract. Terra taunts Raven, asking if Beast Boy talks about her all the time. Raven notices the provocation, doesn't take the bait, and simply walks away, not explaining details about the evacuation, which is just what Terra wanted to know. Back at the lunar base, Superman John Kent shows a world map with all the points needing hero attention. He mentions that by the end of the day, they'll have managed to evacuate 34% of the world population, which isn't too shabby according to Roy. The problem is that this isn't fast enough, and Donna asks them to speed things up. We then see some heroes' efforts around the world trying to carry out the operation. Everything's gone well in the yellow zones, but the real problem is in the red zones. One of the red zones is in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So, Donna Troy contacts Steel to check on the situation in Sao Paulo, and shortly after, she calls Beast Boy to help out in Chicago. The reason these points are red is that some people in these marked areas don't want to be evacuated. They think the Justice League made this whole thing up. There are people who really don't like metahumans, and this hatred for metahumans has been brewing for a while, as seen in the Absolute Power Saga, which highlighted this growing discontent. So it's clear that not everyone is willing to cooperate with this global evacuation. Beast Boy arrives quickly thanks to Ubuntu and asks for a full report. He thinks the best approach is to be aggressive and scare them, but Donna won't let him do that since it could delay the evacuation. It's then that Beast Boy turns and sees Beast Girl, who is a member of the Doom Patrol. Her power is perfect for controlling the situation right now. She used her animal instinct manipulation to put everyone there to sleep. Caroselli explains that it wasn't easy to do this, for her powers work on humans too, since they're animals. The girl is super happy because her next mission will be with Beast Boy, since they're friends and she has interacted with the Titans recently in the comics. Beast Boy informs Donna that the situation is now under control. Donna gets a call from Dick, but she needs to interrupt him because there's another emergency call coming from Starfire. Starfire says she's in big trouble, but the transmission is cutting in and out. At this moment, the comic shows what's going on and take Darkseid's invasion coming in strong from space along with his parademons, Granny Goodness, and the Furies, closing out this edition on a cliffhanger. Superman, the beating heart of Apokolips. The comic starts during that discussion of the Justice League with a quantum quorum that happened in DCKO number 1. Superman is pretty suspicious, and Doomsday reminds him that he took Clark to boost her gold in Darkseid's Legion, hoping it will be enough to gain his trust. Just a reminder, this happened just before the start of the KO saga. The whole point for Superman is that he thinks Doomsday is hiding something. He wants to believe in what's coming, but he needs more answers. Doomsday states that they have a long history together, with intertwined lives and deaths, and that trust between them is irrelevant, because he has already seen the truth. Darkseid is coming, and the only way to save the world is by showing there's no room for mercy. The story then shifts to the present, showing Superman and the Justice League in the tournament. But soon after, we have another flashback to show what Superman did before the tournament, involving the Fortress of Solitude. There, Clark finds Helix wrapping up repairs after Amanda Waller's attack during the Absolute Power saga. He apologizes for being absent so long, activates one of the crystals in the fortress, and calls up the AI of his father, Jor-El. It's been a while since Clark's last visit to the fortress, and he asks about Krypton, whether there's any Kryptonian record of Darkseid. But Jor-El replies that there are no files on him or on King Omega. Clark concludes that not all Kryptonian history was sent to the ship that brought him to Earth. Jor-El says that certain information was considered illegal and parts of history were never recorded. Some were left only the memories of those who left it. However, Superman isn't just there for that. He wants advice from his dad regarding the evacuation of Earth, as he is really uncertain if that should happen. Even knowing it's a hologram and not the real Jor-El, Kal-El asks why he saved him, and Jor-El simply says that both he and Lara loved him and wanted to ensure his survival. Clark asks why they didn't build a bigger ship, but Jor-El explains that space travel was illegal on Krypton and any knowledge from outside was forbidden, so he'd built a ship in secret with limited resources.
Superman wants to know what his father would do if he had infinite resources. Jor-El replies that he would save everyone. That's the answer the hero was looking for, and he thanks his dad for that.
Meanwhile, at LexCorp, Mercy Graves is supervising the recovery of Parasite after what happened to him in another Superman story. She explains that he was lucky to absorb some of the Apokolips energy before being torn in half. Parasite now feels stronger than ever and is glad to be alive. At that moment, Superman shows up at LexCorp to chat with Mercy, and in a funny way, Parasite waves at him, joking about not being able to touch him. At that moment, Mercy figures it's about the eruptions of fire pits popping up around the Earth. She guides him through the facilities and reveals that the company's scientists have detected fluctuations in the Earth's core, indicating something powerful is waking up down there. She takes him to the super ship, a gigantic interplanetary ark designed to transport entire cities, built with Brainiac technology. Superman is impressed by the design and requests more ships like this to be built, at least 12 of them, which leaves Mercy a bit freaked out, not understanding why so many would be necessary. After that, Superman talks to his family about everything going on. Clark tells Lois about the Justice League's plan to participate in the tournament, and the reporter is surprised to learn he's trusting Apokolips, the very monster that killed him. Superman explains that everyone, the Titans, the Justice League, and Steel, are preparing for this. However, Lois knows what this really means. They're preparing for if they lose. Clark admits this is indeed a possibility and says he needs to ensure her safety, but Lois insists he should protect everyone, not just her. This conversation is interrupted by the arrival of Martha and Jonathan Kent, who came to visit their son. The parents notice a worried look on their son, and that's when Clark explains the situation they find themselves in. But before everything, he wants to spend some time with his family. So this is where we get that scene from DCKO number 1, when Clark was walking in a park with his family. Shortly after that, the super ships are ready and launched into space. Finally, Lois and Clark share one last goodbye, with the hero mentioning he spoke to Jor-El to make this decision. They kiss, and Superman flies into space to meet the Justice League, while Lois joins Mercy for the ship launches. Everything goes according to plan. Humanity is leaving planet Earth.
But Mercy notices that one of the ships isn't being tracked. The ship that was taken was Lois's, who is now heading to the Fortress of Solitude, as she senses there's an untold story here. Lois thinks that the hologram of Jor-El didn't tell Clark everything he knew regarding Darkseid and King Omega. At the Fortress of Solitude, she confronts Jor-El, remembering how in the past, Lois and John traveled with Jor-El and learned he wasn't someone trustworthy. This happened back when Jor-El was Oz at the beginning of the Rebirth era. Lois thinks that she's not seeking help, but answers. She wants to understand what he knows about Darkseid and the Heart of Apokolips. And even under pressure, the Jor-El hologram keeps saying the same thing. There are no records about Darkseid. He keeps repeating this over and over, and Lois thinks she's broken him. But then appears the hologram of Laura, saying she knew Lois loved her son, and by sending him to Earth, she hoped he would find someone like her. The two have never spoken before. Laura explains she was a historian on Krypton, and though she doesn't have records of Darkseid, many worlds explored by Krypton spoke of a legend of a destroyer who would come to end everything, the final god. She adds that Krypton scientists tried to create a champion to face him, a being who would be the all-flame contrast to the Omega, and that would be Doomsday, whose ability to be reborn directly opposes everything that Darkseid represents. Out of nowhere, DC drops just bombshell, changing everything we thought we knew about Doomsday. This is something that has never happened before. Those two characters have never had this relationship. This revelation suggests that maybe Doomsday is hiding some information from Superman. Lois mentions that she needs to tell Superman about this, but at that moment, something explodes in the ceiling of the fortress. A body crashes through the crystal and falls to the ground. The reporter rushes, thinking it's Clark, but finds it's Superboy Prime.
He explains that he was trapped in the future fighting Darkseid's army and discovered what happened with the rest of the Legion. He needs to warn Superman, but before they can act, they are attacked by Sunboy, who says it's too late as Darkseid has won. However, Prime, with a fourth wall breaking joke, says he has the last pitch twist. And then we have the plot twist. Lois feels something extraordinary. The attack from Sunboy hit her with solar energy, and she starts to feel a power swelling up inside her again. Superwoman is back. Yes folks, Lois Lane has just become Superwoman again recently in the comics, and now in DCKO she's returning, likely just temporarily. This particular issue is incredibly important for DCKO, as it features the retcon of Doomsday's origin and marks the first crossover between the Alpha and Omega universes, which is the Absolute Universe.
Justice League Unlimited, The Terrific 10 Part 1. The issue kicks off with heroes operating in different parts of the world, helping with the global evacuation of Earth, which we've already seen in previous issues. In Gotham, Adam and Batgirl are chatting about how complicated these evacuations are and the challenges the heroes left on Earth are facing. However, at that moment, they're notified that someone is robbing a bank, which leads Adam to complain about why anyone would rob a bank during all this chaos. Turns out, the robber here is the Polka Dot Man. The heroes take the villain's presence lightly and even play a game of rock, paper, scissors, but the villain seems to want to warn them about something. When Adam takes a shot at him, the villain explodes, seriously injuring Batgirl and Adam. And yeah, folks, underestimating the villain didn't end well for them. The two heroes are taken in critical condition to the Watchtower. In a dialogue between Question and Blue Beetle, it becomes clear that the villains who weren't sent to the Phantom Zone are showing heightened power levels. To make matters worse, at this exact moment, the League doesn't have its top heroes since they're in the tournament. Blue Beetle, Ted Kord, mentions that there's something bigger behind all this, and who sews up with info about this mystery? Mr. Terrific. He clarifies that years ago, some minor villains made a deal with a powerful demon named Neron. Terrific thinks these villains are taking advantage of the current situation of the universe because they'll have a place to escape to if everything goes wrong. Hell. To deal with the situation involving the demon, Mr. Terrific says he has a plan and heroes to help the League, coming from the past, present, and future. Soon after, Terrific gathers a team composed of Aquaman from the 90s, written by Peter David, Power Girl from Earth 2, Guy Gardner from when he was Warrior, Blue Superman, who emerged after the regular Superman split into blue and red years back, Hawkman, Batman Beyond Tim Drake from the Future's End Saga, Green Lantern Alan Scott, Dr. Fate, Sophie, and Owl Woman. And here's the explanation for where Mr. Terrific got this entire crew from. In the Justice League Unlimited comics, there was an event called We Are Yesterday, where several heroes from various timelines and worlds were placed in the main DC universe. And after the event ended, they were stuck there. Mr. Terrific explains to the heroes from other periods what's happening and why they need them. He also explains that in fact, the heroes that ended up here are quantum ghosts, meaning they are a separate existence from who they think they are, be it from the past or an alternate version. Terrific speculates that if the League's champions defeat Darkseid, the timeline broken by the villain will stabilize, and the quantum ghost heroes will cease to exist. Still, he said they remain determined warriors, and they have a mission to save millions of people. A meeting is scheduled for later. In the meantime, these versions take the opportunity to resolve a few things. For example, the warrior Guy Gardner, a version that was not well received by the public in the 90s, goes to see Ice and tries to reconnect given they were a couple back in the day.
They share a few words, but ultimately realize they aren't together anymore in this present. Another character who sees how much has changed is Aquaman from the 90s from Peter David's run. He sees a son he lost in this timeline, but also the daughter the current Aquaman had with Mera. Meanwhile, Owl Woman, Dr. Fate, Sophie, and Hawkman, known as Qatar, try to understand their role in this present situation. Among them is also Kara Zor-El from Earth 2. She records a message for herself, Supergirl, giving hints about her anger over what happened in the past regarding Krypton. Finally, we get to Mr. Terrific's plan. With the 9 heroes assembled, he announces that the plan has already been outlined and discussed among them. Now it's time to put it into action. He activates a boom tube and the story wraps up with Terrific welcoming them to Hell because that's where this group's mission will take place, and it seems they're going after Neron.
The Flash. Impulse Point. Wally West is running through the Arizona desert, moving at high speed. The fastest man alive is reflecting on the current situation, but unfortunately, he doesn't have much time to slow down because the villain, known as Alchemist, is teleporting hundreds of miles per second, and Flash tries to keep up with his speed. The chase takes both of them to the Grand Canyon, one of the places Wally wishes his kids, Ire and Jai, could see. He thinks about the future and what might happen since Darkseid is coming, and maybe one day nothing will be left in this world. In the end, he manages to capture the villain, and while walking with him, the hero reflects on the past few months. The story then moves to the Watchtower, where Bart and Ire decide to break the routine and borrow one of the Justice League jets. But the fun ends quickly. When they turn on the engines at full speed, the jet suddenly gets interrupted. Superman appears in front of them, reminding them there's a Justice League meeting happening. Bart and Ire head back to the tower, frustrated. And back at base, Max Mercury scolds Bart for his recklessness. He tries to give him a lesson on patience and wisdom. Bart, distracted, doesn't quite get it until he's interrupted by something that catches his attention. Doomsday. Next, we see that explanation of the tournament again, trying to prevent Darkseid from conquering. And in all this, Wally observes in silence. He senses the fear in his friends, but knows nobody can give up. It's then that the speedsters gathered to brainstorm. Wally, Jay, Max, and Bart discuss the situation of the tournament. Wally feels a familiar chill, remembering school days when a bully used to pick on him. Jay looks ready to fight and says this might be their only chance to play the same game as the enemy and find a champion.
Meanwhile, Max tries to suggest a cautious approach, reminding what the time manipulator said about slowing down the time flow to give Earth more time, creating an opportunity. It's at that moment that Bart jumps in with a bold idea. If time were slowed down, they, as speedsters, would get even faster, maybe fast enough to take Darkseid down by themselves. Wally gets annoyed by the confidence of both of them, while Bart mentions he upped the difficulty on all the combat simulators. That's his way of saying they're more ready than ever for a fight of this level. However, Wally gets even more irritated and rejects the notion. But Bart tries to make a point, and in seconds, he interferes with the space-time continuum, disappearing with his speed. Wally immediately worries about what the kid might be trying to pull and goes after him wherever he might be. As he taps into the Speed Force, Wally realizes something is off. The whole environment is chaotic, and he starts seeing various moments from his life, from Bart's, and from Barry's. When it seems like Wally's going to lose control, Bart appears and pulls him out of the Speed Force right at the moment Darkseid attacked the Justice League before the creation of the Absolute Universe. That event happened in the DC All-In Special. Darkseid's plan back then was to be defeated by the Justice League, as in that defeat he would disappear and be sent to Elseworld, a parallel universe to the main Earth, and it is there that he managed to become King Omega. Bart's plan is to try to prevent that from happening. Bart states that they're moving faster than the speed of light now, and this is their chance to stop Darkseid, and no one will ever know. But it's not that simple, because for some reason, Darkseid was already waiting for this and lands a solid punch on Bart. Wally knew this would happen and acts to save the kid's life, but Darkseid is incredibly powerful. He grabs Bart, and when he threatens to kill him, both the kid and Wally experience important flashes from their lives and realize something has changed. Thus, Impulse gathers his last energies and activates his Speed Force again, shaking off Darkseid and pushing Wally away. However, something goes wrong in this last run as they're both thrown to another time period. Soon we see that now the two are in Russia in 1908. Impulse finds himself alone in a devastated environment from his arrival into the Speed Force. He's surprised by the appearance of Max Mercury, who comes with a weird speech about serving a master and how this is his destiny. Next, we reveal that Max was taking part to Darkseid's Legion of Superheroes from the Absolute Universe. Alright guys, DCKO is killing it, and the time issues are interesting in my opinion. The Superman one is the best so far, and it's definitely the most important since it brings the retcon involving Doomsday and maybe a clue on how this saga will wrap up. We're covering this saga completely here on the channel, and to keep you updated on everything going on in DC so you don't miss the conclusion of this story, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell.
Soon we also have answers about what happened to Batman after the first DCKO issue wrapped up, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, click on this video to get the full scoop.